The Dollmakers curse. It wasn't the dolls that were unsettling. Quite the opposite, really. They were beautiful. Too beautiful for a town like ours. I first saw them through the misted windows of a tiny shop on Wren Street, one that none of us remembered seeing before. The shop looked old, as though it had been there for centuries, but the dolls in the window, they were pristine, perfect. One was a girl in a lace dress, mid-curtsy, her glass eyes glinting in a low light. Another was a boy with a violin, forever frozen in pose of concentration. A pair of twins stood side by side, their hands almost touching, their expressions serene and eerie at the same time. I wasn't really someone who cared much for dolls, but something about them pulled me in. Before I knew it, I had pushed open the door, a bell shimmering softly overhead. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of something faintly sweet, like roses that had started to wilt. The shop was lined wall to wall with dolls, hundreds of them, maybe more. Some seated, some standing, others posed in a strange, lifelike way. Each one more exquisite than the last, and each one seemed to watch me as I moved deeper into the store. "Admiring my work?" she asked without turning around. "Yes," I said, a chill running up my spine. "They're incredible." She rose slowly, her movements deliberate, as though her joints had rust over the years. When she turned to face me, her smile was small and almost predatory. "Every doll is special, you know," she said, her voice like dry paper. "They're not just toys. They're companions, meant to last forever." I nodded, unsure of how to respond. My eyes drifted back to a particular doll. A girl, smaller than the others, with raven black hair and large, soft eyes. She was dressed in a plain gown and her hands were clasped in front of her, like she was praying. "She is perfect for you," the dollmaker said, her voice suddenly soft, almost kind. "Would you like to take her home?" I hesitated. Something inside me screamed to leave, but my hand reached out almost on its own. As my fingers brushed the doll's hair, I felt a strange jolt, like static electricity, but colder, sharper. I pulled back, startled. The dollmaker just smiled, her eyes glinting. "She's yours now." I took the doll home and placed her on the mantel. She seemed harmless at first, just an oddly beautiful trinket in an otherwise normal house. But after a few days, I noticed something. Her hands. They had moved. At first it was subtle. The fingers were slightly more spread than before, her clasp looser. But each morning, I found her in a slightly different position. I tried to brush it off. Maybe the vibration from walking around the house shifted her. But it wasn't just the hands. Her head, it tilted over so slightly. Her lips seemed to part just a bit more. It was like she was slowly waking up. Then came the whispers. Late at night, when the house was silent, I started hearing soft voices, giggles, and the faintest sound of footsteps. At first I thought it was my mind playing tricks on me, but the sounds grew louder, closer, like someone was moving through the house, watching me. One night, I woke up to find the doll not on the mantel, but sitting on the edge of my bed, her head tilted toward me, her glass eye gleaming in the moonlight. I couldn't breathe. It felt like she was waiting for something. The next day, I tried to get rid of her. I took her outside, threw her in the dumpster, and walked away. But when I returned, there she was, back on the mantel, as if nothing happened. Her expression was different though. It was subtle. But I swore she looked amused, like she was enjoying this. I went back to the Rand Street the next morning, determined to return the doll and confront the dollmaker. But when I got there, the shop was gone. The whole street was empty, like it had been for years. No shop, no sign, and no sign of the dollmaker. The doll's movement became more pronounced after that. I'd find her in different rooms, on different pieces of furniture, her eyes always watching me, always following me. The whispers turned into something clearer, though they still didn't make sense. Fragments of sentences, distorted like a distant radio station. But there was one night when everything changed. I woke up to the sound of soft, shuffling footsteps. This time, I was certain they weren't hallucination. I reached for the light, heart pounding, and that's when I saw it. The doll, standing on her own 2 feet at the foot of my bed. Her glassy eyes were fixed on me, but it wasn't the doll's lifeless face that terrified me. It was the movement behind her. From the shadows, another figure emerged. A tall, hunched woman. The dollmaker. She moved with unnatural fluidity, her face twisting into that same predatory smile I've seen in the shop. But her eyes were dark, hollow pits, no longer sharp and alive. "You've taken good care of her," the dollmaker whispered. I stared in horror as the doll turned her head, her movement slow and deliberate, her once innocent face now twisted with something darker, something cruel. And that's when I realized it. The whispers, the footsteps, they weren't really coming from the doll. They were coming from me. I gasped as a flood of memories come rushing back too fast to make any sense of it. Images of faces, places, hands crafting delicate dolls. I remembered them all. The lives I'd taken. No, not the dollmaker, but me. I had crafted them. "I tried to stop you," the dollmaker said softly. "But sometimes even demon can't stop her own worst demons." The truth hit me like a hammer. I wasn't some innocent victim of a cursed doll. I had been the dollmaker all along. Somehow, over time, I had forgotten, trapped in my own delusion. But the dolls, they remembered. And with that I realized they didn't make me forget. Neither did my delusion. I wanted to forget, so I could enjoy breaking them all over again.